Everyone, well, let's go ahead and get started. I'm so thrilled to welcome you to RevelEleven today. My name is Joni Parsons. I'm co-creator of the company, and we started, Monica Smith and I started RevelEleven about 4.5 years ago, almost 5 years ago. I can't believe it. And we really started it because honestly, there's something about women and when they get together, and when they get together and support other women. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? There's just magic when women get together. We hold weekly online events, sometimes more, and also retreats here in the Pacific Northwest and around the globe. I am so thrilled to welcome Megan today. I met her at a retreat in Bozeman, Montana, a couple of months ago at a Dare to Detour retreat that I went on myself. You always need that. Yeah. And I was just really struck by her message that you can glow from the inside out. And I was also really moved by her book, Glow, Recipes for Inner Radiance. And we're going to be talking about all of this and more today. Welcome, Megan.
Thank you. I'm so delighted and honored to be here, most importantly. And I totally agree. When we women, like-minded or not even, just get together, magic happens. And it's so inspiring. What you do at RevelEleven is so inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you, Megan. We're so grateful for this community, not just today, but every day that we are here in person at retreats and at other retreats as well, like I was saying. But Megan, you and I have had quite a lovely time getting to know one another. We sat in your van in Bozeman and had just this beautiful conversation of give and take and flow about health and radiance. And you just moved me very deeply, and I'm so excited to share your story here with RevelEleven, with revelers here today. And I'm hoping that you can start with telling us what happened for you to start your journey into radiance and good health.
Yeah, I can say that I've always been passionate about nutrition and health. My undergrad was in nutrition and exercise science, but it really wasn't until I was a young mom in my late 20s, and my middle child was like ADD off the hook. He was in preschool at Montessori, which is the most forgiving environment for behavioral issues. And his behavioral issues were really heightened. And they were telling me, I don't think that he's maybe a candidate for Montessori. Mm-hmm. And then on the side, I was struggling with hormonal issues and seasonal affective disorders. So winter depression. And so I was having doctors telling me, let's put your child on Ritalin. He was 4. You just need an antidepressant. And so I've always been one to second guess and to buck the system a little bit and not just do what I'm told. So I took my prescriptions and was like, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye. I'm going to figure this out myself. And so I was able to completely divert and pivot into the world of natural health and healing through foods. And so I completely changed our diet as a family and started using some supplements, mostly for myself, for the hormonal balancing and for the seasonal affective disorder. And so after about a couple of months, such a short period, I had teachers and parents coming up to me saying, wow, Tabor has really calmed down and he's just such a delight to be around. What is he on? Do you mind me asking? Wow. And I was so taken aback, like, what is he on? He's not on anything. He's off of a lot of things. And it just dawned on me that, food is our answer. And so that was really enlightening to me. But I kind of stayed small in myself, and I did all the research and tweaks and made all the changes just for me and my family. And after it took me, I was 40 before I actually decided to pursue a degree.
So Megan, tell us about, you talked to me about a retreat that changed your life. What was that moment that said to you, it's like, wow, I've got to do this, or I can't live like this anymore?
Yeah. So, we all have that inner child voice or story or lie that sort of keeps us small, holds us back. And for me, that was, oh, you're not smart enough. And so I studied and I researched and I was voracious and I knew all the things to already consult people and help them. But I needed to get a master's degree. And in my mind, I wasn't a master's candidate. That's for smart people. And I just happened to go on this retreat that a dear friend of mine was leading. And at the time I thought, yeah, I'll just go, I'll hold space. I don't know, something will come, right? And we did this inner child work, and it was addressing the elephant in your room of what holds you back. And that was that reoccurring story of, I struggled in school. I wasn't set up for success as far as academics were concerned. And so I sat down and we did this exercise. You sit down and you bring your inner child and that lie to your lap, and you tell that child what she needed to hear. And so for me, it was, oh, you are smart. You can pursue a master's degree. You absolutely have this. And you're not too dumb, or dumb for that matter at all. And so it was that exercise that brought me to this aha awakening of, oh my gosh, I can do whatever I want.
So when you have that awakening, then what happened? I mean, that's just a major thing. We all have our stories, and you and I were talking about my story the other day, which we won't get into, but everyone has it. But once you dealt with that inner child issue and you're like, okay, I can have my master's degree, I can step into my power, then what happened?
Then I wrote 2 books. The first book was,
amazing.
I know. And if you could have heard me, like, I hated school. I didn't think I was a good writer, but in consulting with clients, everyone kept saying, and I was giving out recipes and my social media was full of tidbits and recipes, and everyone kept saying, would you please write the cookbook? I need all your recipes right in front of me. And so,
well, can I interrupt you right there for a minute? Because you had mentioned, Megan, that your whole philosophy on life is to serve community and to give back. And you were doing all of this anyway. You were, blowing up your Instagram account. You were giving recipes away.
Yeah.
And people were telling you, it's like, you don't need to give that away. You're more than that. And then that's when this all came about.
Right. And money for me was not of interest. And that was a self-worth thing. I'll never make money. This is just something I'm good at, and I want to help people. And then, I also put myself with a group of 3 other women where we hold each other accountable for spiritual growth, business growth, and anything that we're going through. And that was another aha moment where they were like, okay, what are your goals this year? And I threw out this number, which was huge to me. And they were like,
you want to tell us what it was?
So it was $65,000. I'm going to make $65,000 this year. And they're like, yeah, you need to up that one. I'm like, you guys, I'm not greedy. This is fine. They're like, no, get over yourself. You are so much more than that. You are capable. You need to up that. I was like, okay, 75,000.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you can do 80. I was like, oh, this feels so ego and greedy and whatever. I blew it out of the water because I wrote it down and I meditated on it, and I became like one with that. I am worthy. I can make that money. And it, ever since then, it's just been doubling like every year.
That's fantastic. It's amazing what happens when you shut that story down and you move on to visioning and manifesting what it is you're worth and what it is you can see in advance. So I want to kind of put that story aside and talk about health and radiance. And I want to start by talking about hormones, which is happens to everyone if you're 15 or 115 and everywhere in between. So
Yeah.
Megan, can we manage our hormones? And if so, how do we start?
Yes. So hormones are so tricky, and they are just, I feel like for women especially, the nemesis of any issue that we encounter, whether it's depression, brain fog, body aches, lack of sleep. And the simplest way that I can put hormones is it all comes down to our livers. And so if we can, even from a young age, and if you think about like as our American ways, we are constantly inundated with toxins, whether it's the air we breathe, the air freshener that we are polluting our air with, candles, um, uh, unnatural laundry detergents. And then we slap all the expensive lotions on our skin. We spend $200 on the expensive lotions on our face. You know, it all adds up. And if we can think of our liver, which is the main organ that needs to be clear, clean, and flowing for our hormones to be balanced. So if our liver is a cup and we wake up and we brush our teeth with conventional Crest toothpaste, toxins. We breathe in the air, toxins. We're sleeping on a mattress that's full of polyurethane.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So as we go about our day, we're filling our liver cup. And so by the time half of us get to noon, we've already put on umpteen layers of and breathed in umpteen layers of toxins. And so our cup is now, you know, it starts here, it's now about here by midday. And then we haven't even maybe eaten that much today. And so then we eat the non-conventional foods, or we go out to lunch, and then we, you know, we're subjected to restaurant foods, which are loaded with toxins if it's not vegan, organic, not even vegan, but just organic and locally sourced. And then we have our glass of wine or two or three at night. So by then the cup is overfilled. And so what happens is the liver says, oh, you know what? You've really maxed me out. So I'm going to just push out those toxins to protect the rest of our organs. I'm going to push it into our fat cells. And then the body creates more fat cells. And so that's where that extra layer that we get as we age starts to occur. And it's also where our hormones are congested. So if our liver's not flowing adequately through the toxins through it, then we're backed up. And we're backed up with our bowels, we're brain fogged, and all of our hormones are like, whoa, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. Our adrenals are stressed, all of that. And so if we can focus on our liver, first and foremost, clean eating, lots of good herbal teas, and just trying to live a clean lifestyle is as well, lifestyle going back to emotions. So anger is also attached to our liver. When our liver is congested, we tend to be more agitated. And so in that homeopathic life and world, if you look at the angry 11s, they call them, these lines here. Yeah.
I never wanted these. I always pulled back.
Yeah,
So
it's good to massage that area. But like
massage.
To get to the root of that, we focus on our liver and our emotions of anger and frustration. And those two go hand in hand with each other. So
Megan, you said so much in the last couple of minutes about what we put on our skin, what we choose to eat, you know, the toxins that we have in our household. Why do you think it's not more widely known about the toxicity of our household and the items that we put on our bodies?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I don't want to get political, but I feel like there's this whole big box, big pharma, big food, big ag, they're very, very wealthy, and therefore they have lots of dollars to market with. Right. And most of our influence is in the past has been through the television. And so that marketing has conditioned us to believe that this is all convenience and we deserve a break. Right. And the chemicals are never addressed. And so as long as we feed into that, then we'll stay sick. And
Yeah, I think one of the things that you said when we talked the other day that just resonated with me so much is that you thought that the best thing to do for your body and for your skin was to go out and buy a $200 bottle of, foundation or, body cream. And it's the exact opposite. Like whatever we put on our skin is going right into our cells, right into our body, and it impacts everything.
Yeah.
And, not to mention like what we have under the sink in my kitchen. We do everything natural here, but, so many people don't realize the impact that it has.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, but I would say that there is, there are many perks to social media. And one of them is the awareness around
Yes.
Decreasing your toxic load.
Yeah, it's so important. So in addition to decreasing your toxic load and immune health, let's talk about immunity. And one of the things that we're looking at as I'm sitting in my kitchen here outside, it's pouring down rain, fall is coming, winter is coming, the holidays. And how can we start building up our immunity right now? And this is not to mention the last 18 months of COVID. Like, let's just talk about where we are today with fall and the holidays in front of us. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, number one and the hardest component is managing stress and keeping that at bay. And I like to say no, thank you to a lot more things than I used to. And that's how I manage my stress, besides meditation and getting outside and nature. But part of that is, we can't be it all. We can't be everywhere and be everything. And so get better at saying no, thank you, or that sounds like a great opportunity. I'm not going to be able to help you with that this year, or I can play this role, blah, blah, blah. So getting your boundaries straight to help minimize some of that stress around the holidays. And then as far as building the immune system, this protocol that I used, I got sick a week ago. I got thrown down hard for 3 straight days, 2 hardcore days. Third day was just low energy. I was convinced I had the big C. And I didn't.
But you didn't, right?
Yeah, but it was all the symptoms. And so the good news is I've been already pumping my immune system through food and then a few supplements. And so I feel like because of that, it was a 3-day thing and not a 3-week thing, like so many people in our community are struggling with. And so I'm going to recommend some supplements, but what I always like to preface when I do recommend supplements is that 100% always check with your naturopathic doctor or your doctor, especially if you're on prescription meds, most especially if you're on blood thinners.
Yeah, that's really important. I just want to reiterate that Megan is going to share what she's taking supplement wise, but definitely check with your naturopath or doctor or both about anything that you put in your body.
Yeah. And the good news is with these supplements, I can also offer the food options for which foods are sources of these. So obviously vitamin C, we all know. But I like to take 1,000 milligrams or more, or eat it, sometimes up to 2,000. And so we can get almost that, or we can get about 500 in one orange. Okay, so we're going to go through the ingredients that I'm going to use for this immune tonic as well. Okay. But that one orange is it's 70 to 100% of your vitamin C. So that's just a basic start. You can enhance your vitamin C with. I don't love synthetic supplements of vitamin C. They can be hard on the kidneys. So I would prefer that you get it from, kale, fruits, all the vegetables, broccoli, and that is adequate. So,
okay.
And then the flavonoids in orange. So flavonoids are basically derived from like polyphenols, plant sources. powerful at cellular renewal, so good for the skin, and also powerful at inhibiting tumors and just fighting viruses in general. So I'm such a fan of citrus fruits and in their whole form. So that's vitamin C. And then turmeric and ginger, curcumin, some of you have heard, that's the phenol that's in turmeric. And that is powerful also at fighting tumors, also at fighting viruses. It's a powerful antioxidant. And it also helps reduce inflammation, which is key when we're trying to fight colds and flu. And it's also great for the gut lining. So the root of a robust immune system is a strong, healthy gut. And it's probably the worst. Most people walk around with bad guts, basically. So weakened, compromised guts. So that brings me to probiotics. And I do like to take probiotics throughout the year, but I don't take them steadily. I prefer to get probiotics through fermented foods.
Why don't you take them steadily?
I like to keep the microbiome diverse. And so I have a good immune system. I have a good, strong gut. I didn't used to. But if somebody has just done a round of antibiotics, then I say take, probiotics, 2 bottles worth over the course of
That's
time.
really important. Yeah. A lot of people don't know the importance of probiotics when you take.
So 70% of our immune system is in our gut. It's also known as our second brain. So that also helps with our mood and depression and anxiety. So probiotics, I can't stress enough. And that I like through fermented foods like krauts. There's so many great options now, whether it's farmers markets or health food stores. We don't have to make our fermented foods as much.
Even though it's really fun to do that.
It is fun to do it. I have great recipes for them in my cookbook. But I do find myself cheating and trading at the farmer's market. I'll trade you glow for ferment. But so that's huge, and just keeping the microflora in your gut super strong, because when the invaders come in, that's when the probiotics just like shoo them away. Okay.
That's great.
And then vitamin D, as much as we try to get sun, especially living in Washington, even if you live in Arizona, California, you're putting sunscreen on, chances are good, or you're covered up in clothing. So you can't possibly get the D you need. And this is a crucial point. You must check your vitamin D levels. Every time you go to a doctor's appointment, check your D levels. 95% of us walk around deficient in D.
And it's really important to note too with vitamin D that you don't want to take too much, because that can also be detrimental. So you need to have the right levels, and your naturopath or doctor can do a blood test and check this out for you. Yeah. I get mine done every 6 months just to double check where I'm at. And, insurance, if you have it, usually pays for that.
Yeah. And if you go to a conventional doctor, what is normal on their charts, if you're like right barely in the normal or in the middle of the normal range, you're still low.
Yeah.
According to naturopathic world. Yes,
that's very true. I know that. I think that's another really important point, Megan, that naturopaths have a different take on levels. And so I would highly recommend going to a naturopath, but that's just my philosophy. So.
And I take vitamin D, but I'm almost always borderline low. So I take like 2,500 to 5,000 units every day. And that's what keeps me up. If you have low vitamin D levels, your immune system's compromised, your mood. If you're feeling inordinately tired, cranky, and then catching all the colds, go get your D levels checked. That's such a huge proponent or issue with vitamin D, the symptoms are. And I can almost every time figure it out. I'm like, I haven't taken my D in like 2 weeks, and then I'll just pop it up to 5,000 IUs, and within 3 days I'm back.
So someone in the chat has asked about natural sources of estrogen. Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, soy. So if you are postmenopausal, um, good fermented soy is a nice option. And then wild yam, and there's also herbs, the herbs from wild yam,
Mhm.
vitex. Um, that's nice at helping to boost your estrogen levels. I always recommend that people get their hormones tested starting in their late 20s annually. And then,
That's earlier than I expected you to say, because most
well,
people think, in their mid 40s, but late
yeah,
20s, that's
yeah.
super interesting.
27 seems to be this magic year where women's hormones shift dramatically. And so it's good to get your base, like your barometer there. Oh, this is my normal. And then every year you can go from there. And then as you approach your late 30s, early 40s, I always suggest, every year to twice a year if you're symptomatic.
Hmm.
I get mine tested twice a year. I just went through menopause a year ago. And so I struggle with low progesterone. But everybody's different. If you have adrenal
Everybody's
fatigue, you
different.
might
Yeah.
have, you know, your hormones will be wacky.
Okay, so why don't you tell us about the amazing immune tonic that you have?
Okay.
And we're going to put that up on, Natalia, can you put that up on the screen as well?
All right, so let's see. Bear with me. I'm just
going to do a little,
I'm going to do a little pivot.
So we just put this in the chat for you so you can copy and paste that if you'd like. And then as Megan's getting settled here, we'll have that up for you and then take it down so we can see what she's doing.
Yeah. So can you see anything?
Yes, we can. Natalia, can you take that immune tonic down? Thank you. Great. And then let's take me off so that we can see fully what Megan's doing.
So this is my lab space that you're in right now. This is where, and we'll get to this, but this is where all my formulas are made and my batching goes on. Oh, to be continued on that.
Yes.
So we're on the inside out. So this recipe that we're about to go through is not in the book, but there's a very close recipe to it called the Liquid Sunshine. And what we're going to make today is just a version of, and the Liquid Sunshine could so easily be.
And what page is that on? Let's see.
Arms aren't getting any longer. I think that says 42.
Okay. Here, I'll hold that up while you're talking here.
Okay. So, all right. So this is super simple, and this is just a template. All right. I usually use an orange, but I didn't have any, and the market had horrible oranges, so I used a grapefruit. And that's where I like to encourage people to just wing it. If you don't have everything and you don't want to go to the store, you can wing these recipes. And I just want to show you something. See all the white? This is called the pith. It's kind of bitter, but this is where the magic is, in the pith. There are bioflavonoids, polyphenols in this that are powerful antioxidants. Great for cell renewal and great for fighting any kind of invasion that's hitting us, whether it's a virus or a tumor or bacteria. So I did one grapefruit. It calls for one orange. And then I also am adding a few slices of lemon, and notice that the peel, there's a little bit of peel on it. You don't want to do too much peel because it's kind of harsh on the belly. It's high in antimicrobials and antibacterials.
Yum. And here's her beautiful book, cookbook, and the recipe right there. But this is different, as she mentioned. So.
Yeah. And then they're close though. And then I'm adding carrots. So this is where the vitamin A comes in. And we do need vitamin A to boost our immune system. We also need it for skin integrity and elasticity. Vitamin A is crucial for good skin. And then this is where the ginger and the turmeric come in. I just used about an inch. And then I'm bonus adding a clove of garlic. Yes, everyone in my family is going to be so bummed, but this is about our immune health. So
And then for those of you who don't know where to get turmeric, usually it's available at any co-op or natural food store. I haven't really, maybe in Whole Foods.
Yeah, usually, I mean, I'm surprised at all the places I find it. It looks
Mm.
like, so fresh turmeric, if you can't find it, first of all, it looks like it's usually about the size of a finger. It almost kind of looks like a finger. And
Yeah, it does
brown
actually.
skin on it. And then the ginger is more rooty, almost like a hand. You know, it's like 3 fingers usually. It's little. I like to keep the skin on both.
Here's some ginger right here.
Yeah, beautiful. It's almost like coral reef.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So I like to keep the skin on because that's the skin of carrots, apples, ginger, turmeric, all of that. The skin holds so many great nutrients. So again, why we buy organic, so that we don't have the pesticides and the fertilizers in it. We just have all the nutrients intact. So the key with ginger and turmeric for the body to assimilate the nutrients in it, we need fat and we need black pepper. So I just use a little bit of coconut oil. And if you don't even want to put fat in it, sometimes I don't want that taste. So I will eat the fat. And then it turns out just the same. And then the pepper is like the taxi driver, just a little bit for the nutrients, even in fat soluble nutrients like vitamin A. The pepper is like the taxi driver into your cells for these nutrients to be absorbed and assimilated. So my husband and I are beekeepers. So
how many bees do you have?
We have, well, now we're down to 2 hives. We had 3 hives. One was robbed and killed this fall. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We started with 2 and 1 swarmed and we captured it and made a 3rd with it. So
wow.
It's just an experience, you know, life experience. So I like to add a little bit of raw honey. Raw honey has amazing enzymes. It also has the probiotics and antioxidants, and it's super awesome for our immune system. See, just a teeny bit.
And do you recommend a local honey versus just a store-bought honey?
Yeah, that's a great question. I like raw and I like local, and that's especially beneficial for anyone that has allergies. Mm-hmm. People talk about it, and we never really gave it any weight. But my husband really struggles with allergies. Not anymore. He's been doing honey, and he definitely like spoons it out.
Does he?
Yeah, he probably eats 2 tablespoons at least a day of honey. But he's had no allergy issues. And I'm telling you, every year on my birthday, July 3rd, his allergies heighten, and it's like he's sick, and it sucks. So this was the second year that he has not struggled with allergies since he's been eating the honey.
Local honey, local honey, local honey for the win.
Yeah. And this, I just put about 12 ounces of water in here. So this is a Vitamix. Some people use bullets. Obviously, the more powerful your blender, the better. And then we're just gonna whip it. What I like about using the whole fruit is you get all the fiber, and you don't get the big sugar, blood sugar rush.
One of the things that Megan and I were talking about the other day is that, you know, juicing was popular for so long, and my juicer's down in the basement. I don't use it anymore because, you know, I want to have the all of the energy from the plant and not just have all the fiber go away somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And using a juicer is wonderful, but I always say, if you aren't completely immune and gut compromised, you don't need a juicer. It's expensive. You need so many vegetables and fruits to get what you need. And depending on how you juice or what you juice, it can be a big blood sugar elevator. Mm-hmm. So this has the fiber. It's cheaper to do it through a blender. And if you have a decent immune system and gut health, you need the fiber anyway. So I say go for it. I'm going to run this. It's going to be loud, but it's just for a few seconds.
It's not as loud as I thought it was going to be.
Okay, pretty. It's like a little creamsicle.
I think that's what I'm going to have for lunch, Megan.
Yeah.
That sounds delicious.
I know. I kind of did this for dinner last night. Now that it's just my husband and I, half the time we say dinner's canceled, and then we'll just like make a smoothie or do cheesy.
That sounds terrific.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds so good. And I'm sure everyone's going to go home and do that as well to boost your immune system. Cheers. I wish I had some to cheers you with right now. Cheers.
Well, cheers. And also know that if this is too thick for someone, you can always add water. Again, it's just a template. Okay,
so as Megan said, this very similar recipe is in her cookbook, and it's Glow Recipes for Inner Radiance. And I bought several of these for holiday gifts this year, which I'm really excited to give those away. Hopefully nobody's on that and giving one of these too. Oh, well.
But, oh, you froze. Also, no, can you all hear me? Will you raise your hand?
This photo of her with all of the vegetables and fruits here. And why don't you talk a little bit about how it's broken out and what people can expect in your cookbook?
Yes. Well, also you need to know that I sold out. I had printed 1,000 copies, and I have another round. It was supposed to arrive December 2nd. It's now not arriving till January 5th. So, so I am sold out.
But supply chain issues are everywhere.
Yes, they are.
Unfortunately.
So I think people understand that. I might do a pre-sale, but I'm not sure. Basically, it's not just a cookbook. It's really, I mean, this much of it is resources. So it talks about the importance of fats, which fats to eat, which fats to cook with, which fats to leave to drizzling, salt, why salt, what kind of salt, how to stock your pantry for success so that you can make anything lazy fancy on the fly. And then I break down dry goods, seasonings, herbs and spices, canned goods. And then the end, there's an entire index A to Z that breaks down the benefits. It's not pretty, but it's good information, A to Z, the benefits of all the herbs and spices and why you should be eating them.
So say for instance here, there's, just to give you a sampling, is rosemary, sage, sea salt, everything from star anise to mustard seed, nasturtium. And so say nutmeg, for instance, this warming spice is a great way to ease digestion and gas with bloating. I think we've all experienced that. It has relaxing effects and is wonderful to add to hot toddies before bed for a calming effect. So just really good information here that, maybe we've heard about, but it's like unclear, but it's all right here in Megan's book, which I have really appreciated, Megan.
That's good. I love that. And each recipe has a pro tip, like why pearl powder. These are the beauty balms. These have been a huge hit. And they're dusted with pearl powder. And pearl powder is a great vegan option for calcium and also for rebuilding the soft tissue in the skin and the joints and the gut. So every recipe has like, here's why turmeric, here's why parsley. Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's inspiring to me, I love to go through a cookbook that has healthy information in it because it just reminds you, even if you know all the things, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to make this again because I know this is what my body needs right now. And so that's what.
And one thing I think is important to note is some people might be thinking, is this a vegetarian book? And while there's a lot of vegetarian beautiful recipes in here, there's also Meyer lemon chicken, Moroccan chicken with a hint of orange, lamb meatballs, and then southern pulled pork, and then bison chili for those in Montana or who have access to bison. So again, it's just a beautiful cookbook, and I've found so many lovely recipes in there. So we've been talking about glowing from the inside out, and that's really all about what you eat and how you care for your body. But Megan's skin looks amazing, or I should say not but and her skin looks amazing, and it's not only just what we put in our body, but tell us about your skincare line. And this is going back to getting toxins out of our body and making sure you know what you're putting on your skin. So why don't you tell us about your beautiful skin line?
That's sweet. So in the midst of my master's degree, I was learning about the botanicals and their healing qualities, and I had already ditched all the chemicals except for I was hanging on to that Estee Lauder because it was expensive and it was going to work. And so at the time there was just nothing on the market that was oil-based and organic and that did not smell like patchouli. And no offense to patchouli, but it just doesn't, I don't want to wear it all the time.
Me neither.
Yeah. So I prefer just like a clean with a slight hint of floral note to it. And more importantly, I needed something that was nourishing to my skin and restorative to my skin. And so I went on the side with my little research habit and passion and extensively researched all of the botanicals that we had already been discussing in this program. And then I compiled and formulated some ingredients to make for myself, which was the first oil born in the glow line called Regenerative. And I started using it just like, okay, great, this works. And then a month or so later, all my clients and my friends and my family were like, what's going on with your skin? What are you doing? I want some of that. So my love language is to make and give. So I was giving to a few and they kept coming back for more. And they're like, so this is something you're going to need to brand and market. It's kind of selfish that you're not doing it already. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so right. And so I did. And everything just sort of fell into place as I said yes, because it was fun. And I knew that I was onto something. And I wanted to spread that and share that. And so, I hadn't quite grasped that self-worth of I get to make money with this, but it just led me down the track. And I should backtrack because, as you all know, food is my base, right? And my foundation. And so it's always been super important for me to source organic and to source directly as possible from farmers and growers. And so
that's fabulous.
Yeah. So all my ingredients are sourced directly from growers, most of which I've met. And then I have trips planned to Morocco and Italy to meet so I can get to 90% of my ingredients.
And Megan, what are just some of the things that you're sourcing, just out of curiosity, if you could share with our audience today?
So the essential oil of rose geranium, lavender, blue tansy, chamomile, camelina oil here from Bozeman, and then dried, so let's see, it's called dried black raspberry powder from Oregon. And it used to be red raspberry, but they had a shortage from the drought this fall. So we upgraded to black raspberry and it's luscious. And then rose seeds and bentonite clay from Montana. And then soon will be Rasoul from Morocco and French green clay from France.
Wow, that's fantastic. I have to say that I have all of Megan's products and they're absolutely fabulous. I feel like I am glowing whenever I use her products, which is every day. And it's just been wonderful to see the transition in my skin and purely, because of, what I eat, organic, and then what I put on my skin is so important, just like we should be thinking about that all the time. Do you have a couple of the products there that you can show? I do. Do you have some handy?
I'll show you my babies.
Okay, show us the baby.
The best sellers, the Regenerative Oil.
And what does that do, Megan?
So this one is like your day oil. It has about an SPF 12 in it. And then it has a sea buckthorn. So really rich in vitamin A and vitamin C. The base oil is sunflower seed and camelina, and that is the closest to our natural skin sebum. So it soaks right in. If you've ever used a product that just sort of sits on top and leaves you greasy and shiny, that's usually because the oil base is just molecularly too large to soak into your pores.
Can you talk to us just for a moment? I want to go back to what you said about sunscreen. Tell us your thoughts on sunscreen and why we should or shouldn't use it.
Yeah, so I'm all about sunscreen, but not conventional sunscreen, because the toxins in conventional sunscreen that block are just reversing all that it's trying to do, right? Protecting your skin. And so I have a sunscreen product, and the reason I like it is because it's all beta carotene rich organic sunscreen. There's never a block. And when someone says sunblock, it's not possible. To block the sun, you must wear clothing and a hat. And so the sunscreens that I like are natural, and they protect against the harmful UV rays. And so they're like a good defense with the nutrients in them, vitamin C and vitamin A and beta carotene. But to block, like if I'm out on the river or on a beach, I'll go out for 20 minutes, 30 minutes with my sunscreen, and then I'm in the shade. So incrementally, unless, if you have to, you're in the water, I would say wear a skin suit, because the sunscreen that we put on that actually, blocks for more than an hour is so bad for our waterways anyway.
So horrible.
Too. Yeah. Protecting our environment. We're trashing our environment. So.
I mean, and that's one thing that this conversation goes back to, is doing the best we can every day with the choices that we make.
Yeah.
So that we feel good, being in this world every day and making positive choices that aren't harming our environment. Yeah. We just had on Anna LaPay and her mom, Frances Moore LaPay, who wrote the book Diet for a Small Planet. And they were talking just a couple weeks ago about, it's so hard to feel good in this environment right now when we know that everything we're doing is harming it. But we can make positive choices, like the food we eat from local farmers with the CSA, using natural products on our skin. These are choices that make us feel good, and we know that are good for the planet.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I was really struggling with when I made this skincare line and when I made the leap to sell it to people, is, am I just contributing like packaging and bottles and stickers? And so I had to just zoom out and go, okay, what can I do to be responsible with this? And so my packaging is minimal. It's just a bottle. People can refill at different stockists, or they can ship them back to me, and then I can reuse them.
And you're even thinking about how you ship things, because, in my packages, you use a carbo compostable. So there's no plastic, no nothing, which is something that is really important to me personally.
And then we contribute to carbon neutral shipping practices.
And what does that mean?
So what I do is a certain percentage of each of my shipments go towards the mail service that I'm choosing. And then they put that towards carbon neutral practices, whether it's,
that's great.
I don't know, electric, trucks or cars, or also less stops,
I love that you're thinking about this holistically and looking at everything you're doing. And that's why you're on today, because it's so important. And so I want to highlight people who are doing amazing things. Not, I don't want to be able to be that person that just goes to Amazon and, it's like hit send and, you get this huge box, but it's like to be really thoughtful about who we engage with, supporting other women business owners that are doing amazing things and things that are good for our planet, and also giving back at the same time.
Yeah, thank you. And I feel like that is my philosophy in anything I do. It's just, how can we make this full circle, intentional, with integrity and results?
Well, thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions You can put those in the chat. And Megan, just a couple of questions, fun questions for you off the cuff.
Yeah.
What is a daily ritual you can't live without?
Well, okay, coffee, but
Coffee. And
everything about it to me, I sometimes will go to bed early just to wake up for my coffee.
I do go to bed every once in a while. I'm like, can't wait for that coffee. Anyway, what else?
But besides that, okay, here's my favorite ritual. And this is at the end of the day. Maybe it's not right before bed, but it could just be I've had meetings all day, I'm out, and I'm about to, start the next chapter of dinner. And so what I love to do is this ritual of washing the day off my face through the practice of washing your face. Because how many times do you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh no, I want to go to bed and I still have to wash my face, So this is that moment to take 5 minutes, and I truly will go to the bathroom, wash my face, and I just envision, nurturing my skin. It's communication. We're communicating with our skin. And then as I rinse off the dirt and toxins, whatever is glommed onto me, I also envision whatever negative thoughts are not serving me, whatever somebody may have said to me that could have been hurtful, whatever irritated me in that day, I envision it washing down the drain. And then I bring that clean, vibrant water back into my face and wash the negative down the drain, however many times, depending on the day. I'll rinse and repeat. And then I just do my night ritual, and then I'm like a new person. It feels so good to start fresh like that and then go make dinner and just feel like I'm in another zone.
Megan, that is such a beautiful ritual, and one that I've never heard of, and I'm going to implement it starting tonight. So
Yay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I love it. Okay, so I just, there's a quick question in the chat about vitamin C. And did you say it's not good to take OTC vitamin C or synthetic?
Counter.
Oh yeah, over the counter.
And does it say put on your skin or take?
I'm just trying to see that too here. Sorry.
I'll touch on putting on, because what I addressed.
How do you know which ones are synthetic? I want to clarify what I heard is basically.
Oh yeah. So anything over the counter is usually ascorbic acid, and that's a derivative of vitamin C. And so vitamin C is so fragile that any type of air exposure or heat just obliterates it. And so if you have the natural form of vitamin C in all my products, every product has high counts of vitamin C because of the rose geranium oil, the sea buckthorn. It's all naturally occurring in there. I didn't add any additional C. So it's going to be a stronger, higher integrity of vitamin C. And so when you see the synthetics ascorbic acid or vitamin C serum with ascorbic acid, the minute you open it more than once, that has diminished the vitamin C. So, and it can be harsh on the skin. I don't know. I get little red dots if I've used something that's too harsh for my skin.
Thank you so much for clarifying. And then also, and one more question. Did you say what do you put on your face at night?
Oh, I have an eye and night oil. So it's eye/night because I am kind of lazy. And so I feel like in the mornings it's around the eye, and then at night you do your whole face. Call it good. And the tablets, someone mentioned, do you take tablets, vitamin C? Sometimes I've had to, but some people, and I'm one of those people, when we take too much vitamin C, it symptomatically presents as a UTI. And so
interesting.
During COVID, the quarantine, I was like fisting supplements, that was my fear. Everyone's buying toilet paper and drinking alcohol. I'm like fisting supplements. And it was too much. And I was presenting with UTI. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And then that's what dawned on me. It's like, oh, this is too much C. So that's why I'd rather people get it in their food.
Yeah, Megan, this is such amazing information, and I'm so glad you all joined us today, and hope that you can bring some of this beautiful, radiant life into yours through Megan's cookbook and through her amazing skincare line. She's offered 15% off if you use RevelEleven on her website, which I sent out to you all this morning about more information on Megan. And Megan, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us from Bozeman, Montana today. And I'm just so honored that you joined us. And I hope you make millions with your product because you deserve it.
We're getting there. We are getting there. And thank you. And also know, because we talked about so much nutrition, if you hang up and you're like, gosh, I need more, I offer skin consults. So, and that's not just a skin consult, it's a health consult.
And they're fabulous. I had one when I was in Bozeman, and it was very worthwhile for me. So thank you, Megan. I've incorporated it quite a bit.
Sure.
With that, I'd like to close and invite you to join us on other RevelEleven